The situation in West Papua is always dire, but on March 17 in Jayapura it took a dramatic turn for the worse. Papuan students have embarked on a dangerous protest against Indonesian authorities. Troops are brought in and open fire. In the melee that follows, 5 Indonesian police are stoned and beaten to death. The reprisals begin that night. Anyone young and black are set upon in the streets of Jayapura. Soldiers attack the university, searching for young Papuan Highlanders in particular. Many are severely beaten. It's claimed that more than a dozen have been murdered. Others have simply disappeared. The only immediate refuge for hundreds of students and other young Papuan Highlanders is the jungle beyond Jayapura, where many remain today, but they're being hunted there as well. Their only hope is to get out of the country, over the mountains and into Papua New Guinea. This border region is now full of Indonesian troops and West Papuan independence fighters. PNG and Australian troops are nearby. This is the hotspot where the students are heading. Some have made it across the border into PNG, where I pick up with them.
They're heading to.
And Joshua, their contact man, who helped plan their escape. There are a number of secret camps like this in Papua New Guinea near the border. Staging posts for their ultimate destination. And for most of the 20 people in this camp, that destination is Australia.
Kamu sama-sama tinggal sementara, proses selanjutnya nanti kita atur. Jadi ini dia akan bertahap, jalan bertahap. Jadi nanti setelah itu nanti kata kembali semua sudah aman di sini, nanti kita atur perjalanan. Jadi saya akan atur dengan.
The refugees are neither entirely safe nor welcome here. Arguments about them have broken out in the surrounding villages. Some don't want them to go. They'll make good recruits for upcoming battles. Others are tiring of feeding them. But it's better than where they were, being hunted by Indonesian troops.
Ya, yang pasti kami bayangkan pada saat peristiwa kalau kami ditangkap, yang pasti kami akan dibunuh, karena waktu itu pada saat itu mereka sangat marah dan mengejar anak-anak yang saat itu ada di tempat kejadian, dan juga mungkin yang di luar tempat kejadian juga mereka cari yang tidak.
But today they're not being chased by Indonesians but by Papuans. A faction war amongst the guerrilla independence movement, the OPM, has broken out around them. There is an argument about which group they should be answering to. The knives literally come out and my camera goes down.
Stop!
Another boatload of young refugees is due today on this beach in PNG. 22 students fled Jayapura in the middle of the night. The plan is for Joshua to meet them here and help arrange the next part of their journey to Australia.
Should they be here by now?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening, but we'll see. If not today, maybe.
He's been here half the night, but as dawn breaks, Joshua knows something has gone very wrong.
And how many are coming?
Yeah, today is about 20 of them will arrive here today.
Joshua drives to the border, searching the beaches as he goes and trying to make phone contact with Jayapura.
Yeah, that's the Jayapura city, you see. Side of this cliff, yeah. You see that. That's the town. Children will left and come to Papua New Guinea.
Any reception?
Yep.
The boat was meant to arrive at dawn this morning. We know that they left at 4 o'clock from Jayapura, which is just over the hill. Joshua's now extremely worried. and he's trying to make contact with Jayapura to see what's gone wrong. He fears that they might have been captured.
Kamu semua.
All he can establish is that at least one is dead and one has been arrested. Others are still missing, and the survivors are desperately trying to hide themselves.
Okay, Bami come.
At great risk to himself, Joshua slips back into Indonesia to try and find them, and the picture becomes clearer in the following days.
One's dead and two missing, one in the hospital now, and then the rest is hiding in somewhere in Jayapura.
All right. What's the mood of the people? Are they scared now, or do they still want to come?
They still contacting me. They still try to get me, and then they say, "Brother, you have to help us to get out from here."
With the waterways now being patrolled, the only way out is through the forest, avoiding the Indonesian army and trying to meet up with the West Papuan guerrilla movement, the OPM.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, but I will asking assistance from the OPM, TPN men. They know the way to escape, the bush way,
Okay. See you. But the OPM are having trouble of their own.
Kawan sepenganut OPM, kawan sepenganut OPM, dia memberikan nyawanya untuk saudara dan saya, untuk menebus saudara dan saya dari tangan Indonesia. Ini bukan hal yang
This village near the border is mourning the death of an OPM leader after a battle with the Indonesian army.
Sayang Tuhan, bertemu lagi. Di tempat mana kami nanti bertemu.
To Indonesia, he was a terrorist and a murderer. To West Papuan students, he was their champion and defender.
Dia pasukan bilang, "Nanti saya yang bawa muka. Saya jatuh dulu baru kamu dari belakang." Itu dia punya pesanan.
As the students were being attacked in Jayapura, the man being remembered today led an OPM attack from PNG on an Indonesian army base, personally killing 2 Indonesian soldiers and luring others out into OPM fire.
Akhirnya dia masuk dan dia punya parang itu. Dia punya pasukan pegang senjata. Komandan di situ baru dia ketuk pintu, komandan dia terus buka pintu keluar, lepas parang, angkat langsung leher putus. Jatuh.
The details of this attack were gruesome enough, but the shock for me was hearing his name, Petrus Tabuni. 2.5 years ago, I made a film about Petrus Tabuni from tapes smuggled out of the highlands of West Papua. Then, resplendent in a fine suit and even finer hat, he was a consummate and moderate politician. Surrounded by OPM guerrillas, he was bravely calling on them to lay down their guns.
Ingin membuktikan kepada bangsa lain di dunia bahwa tidak selamanya kemerdekaan. Suatu bangsa harus dicapai dengan kekerasan, penumpahan darah.
At this secret meeting, Tabuni convinced the OPM to lay down their weapons and asked Indonesia to do the same. He wrote to the UN and specifically to John Howard, asking him to support and convey the ceasefire message. The only response came from Indonesia. They immediately captured and killed the co-author of his peace plan, OPM commander Justinus Murup, proudly posing his dead body as a trophy kill. Then they began to hunt down Tabuni and his family, killing his nephew and others in the process. An event recalled at his funeral.
malam jam 2 serang mereka. Jadi tentara Indonesia mereka tembak 6 dan termasuk anak kemenakan ini. Yang ini mereka hidup mereka tangkap, bawa turun di Wamena, tikam dengan pisau.
Stabbed him
Yeah, still
with a knife.
Yeah.
Knife.
Bayonet.
Bayonet.
With bayonet.
Huh?
Bayonet, yeah.
Bayonet. The boy, they killed the boy.
This one.
Why?
I don't know.
He's a boy though, huh?
But you know the Indonesian army,
Yeah.
Kata sampai gini naik turun saya tidak mau lagi. Hari ini masuk terus. Untung rugi hari ini saya punya.
Tabuni was calling for dialogue with Indonesia. What he ended up with was dead kids. Humiliated, he disappeared into the jungle on the border until a few weeks ago, when the students of Jayapura came under attack.
Oke, terus kedua tuh dia mengeluar, terus dia angkat tangan begini lagi, lepas tangan, terus tangan jatuh begini, lepas leher lagi. Sekaligus, dua-dua. Sementara tuh beliau dua jatuh, terus pasukan sudah tiba. Serangan, yang penjakan itu langsung. Jadi 4 mati di tempat.
This was the first direct attack by the OPM in years, a declaration of war that will not be ignored by the Indonesian military.
Yang lain mereka masih di depan.
The border area is now filling up with angry Indonesian soldiers, students trying to flee, and an armed OPM unit under the command of another member of the Tabuni clan, Lucas Tabuni. It's a region ready to blow, and Tabuni's next move could provide that spark.
Rombongan Tuan Tabuni dengan pasukan sekarang ini mereka ada di mana kami belum tahu.
Finding the OPM in the grey zone of the border region is now a hard task. They're protected by a large network of supporters and a terrible network of roads. Like travelling anywhere in PNG, you stop when the road gives up and hit the bush tracks. I'm travelling in to see Lucas Tabuni, one of the OPM commanders, up on the border. He's been actively engaged with the Indonesian army over the last few weeks. There's been a number of clashes, and it's to him that many of the students are trying to flee, trying to get safe passage past the Indonesians through the bush and into PNG. Wary of Indonesian reprisals, Tabuni's fighters are moving constantly between Indonesia and PNG. The jungle on the PNG side is broadly viewed as OPM country, rarely intruded upon by PNG police or army, nor by their Australian military advisors who are based nearby. And yet this region is likely to soon become a serious flashpoint between Indonesia, PNG and Australia. Indonesian troops are starting to mass here and in no mood to tolerate PNG forests harbouring the OPM.
Bawa ke sana, tentara dengan lengkap turun. Orang semua turun.
This man lives virtually on the border and claims that large numbers of Indonesian troops are camped nearby.
Tapi kenapa dia dengan arat-arat dia turun?
He's understandably nervous. His village has been attacked and destroyed in the past by Indonesian troops in pursuit of the OPM. After days of travel and delicate introductions, I find Lucas Tabuni's camp. Lucas was the commander of the recent attack on the Indonesian army post, but allowed the elderly Petrus the honour of striking the first blow.
Seperti dia sudah tahu bahwa dia mau mati.
Ya, karena dia siap mati, jadi dia harus pegang parang baru langsung dia potong orang. Bersama Lucas Tabuni, bagian daripada kami orang anak dari pengalaman atau dari gunung, kami balik pikiran bahwa perang.
Lucas has spent a lot of time thinking about war. He's been hiding and fighting in this forest for almost 30 years, but had abided by a ceasefire for the last 7 since the fall of Suharto to allow talks to proceed with Indonesia. Today he knows that the talking has well and truly stopped as Indonesian troops mass around him.
Tentara pendorongan para senjata dan beberapa personil terdiri dari 2 batalion yang telah drop di wilayah perbatasan ini. Ya, itu jelas serangan di markas komando pusat ini. Jadi itu saja.
They are preparing to
tujuan untuk merebus di markas pusat.
They are preparing to attack this headquarters. They are building up to attack these people here.
The Indonesians are planning to attack here, you say?
Apakah Indonesia sedang berusaha untuk bikin rencana untuk
Ya, bikin rencana untuk serang markas.
Won't they need the permission of PNG, or do you think PNG will give them permission?
kira-kira bagaimana kalau dong mau serang markas terus karena ini boleh tinggi, apakah minta permisi di Papua New Guinea apa pemerintah?
Indonesia tidak pikir untuk pemerintah Papua New Guinea.
Events here could escalate overnight, rapidly dragging PNG and Australia into a conflict to defend the border. But Lucas shows no sign of backing down.
Ya, itu karena saya siap untuk serang.
Do you have weapons? I mean, how will you do this?
Bagaimana kalau Bapak berusaha untuk serang, Bapak bagaimana?
Ya, karena saya bukan menang dengan alat persenjataan yang lengkap, tapi saya menang dengan budaya, busur, tombak, parang, kapak. Tetap saya siap bersedia.
But there's little doubt that he has a bit more than that at his disposal after his attack on the Indonesian military base.
Ya, jelas semua persenjataan yang di rumah itu kas tinggal, tangan kosong lari tentara.
It's about 40.
40 alive.
Jadi setiap pos ini semua itu terdiri dari 50 anggota.
Every checkpoint or base post is 50-50.
Yeah.
And then
50 at each post, yeah? So how many weapons did you capture from them?
Kekuatan apa rampasan itu berapa senjata yang? Ada rampas senjata atau tidak atau?
Pihak kami.
Ya, kami ambil dari mereka.
Ya, itu memang ada. Ada tapi saya tidak akan terang.
Yeah, we got some, but they can speak in the public. So.
Oh, okay.
Itu militer.
Yeah, that's the
Military issue.
Yeah.
Military issue. Okay.
News is coming into the camp about the 22 students whose boat was sunk. With their names listed in the newspaper, there's little doubt they'll be trying to flee through the bush, and Tabuni's men are waiting to help them. Lucas leads me to another one of his camps where the students are expected to come and where the men are itching for a fight.
Wow. Hello.
Kami akan jalankan serangan militer, tetap akan jalan. Sejauh kemampuan kita ada, kami tetap akan maju. Kami diserang, kami akan maju. Di dalam tahun ini, bulan-bulan depan, kami tetap akan melakukan serangan. Kalau kami diserang, kami juga akan melakukan serangan. Dan secara kontinu kami tetap akan lakukan. Take up! Stand up! The Prime Minister of Australia, together Cabinet and the National Parliament, we need support from Australian government.
Undoubtedly, thanks to my presence, Australia is the theme of the day.
We are asking government of Australia,
But in OPM territory, Australia does hold a very special place. They claim it was Australia that formally allowed the OPM to base themselves in these mountains by agreement made in the late 1960s before PNG's independence.
Bahwa pemerintah Australia pernah membuat suatu perjanjian dengan OPM untuk menaruh markas, melindungi markas ini untuk rakyat Papua Barat itu bisa bertahan di situ dan berjuang sampai mencapai kemerdekaan Papua Barat.
Whatever the nature of previous agreements, the current Prime Minister, John Howard, is certainly the man of the moment amongst the OPM.
Pemerintah Australia, terutama kepada pemerintah John Howard, kami menyampaikan banyak terima kasih dan mendukung sepenuhnya karena beliau sudah menerima suaka politik rakyat Papua Barat yang sementara masih di Australia. Saya mohon kepada pemerintah Australia, terutama kepada John Howard, mohon dipertahankan rakyat saya. Dan besok, mahasiswa yang sementara 700 anggota yang sementara disiksa, ditahan di sel-sel yang sementara lain di hutan, saya akan pungut mereka dan saya akan kirim ke Australia. Dan John Howard, tolong terima mereka dengan hati terbuka, tolong sampaikan itu kepada John Howard, pemerintah John Howard. Itu adalah suara TPN yang saya sampaikan. Terima kasih. Merdeka!
How open-hearted John Howard is will soon be tested. A few days after I leave Tabuni's camp, Joshua makes it through the bush with 4 of the survivors of the sunken refugee boat.
Hello. You made it, huh? Well done. What's your name? Hi.
My name is
What's your name?
my name is Patea.
Patea.
Yeah.
Nak.
Rudy Maniburi.
Rudy.
It's taken them more than a week to get past Indonesian troops, and the rest of their immediate group are expected soon.
Yang masih 3 lagi nanti berikut muncul lagi.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go, huh? It's wet.
Oke, kalau kami minta supaya harus keluar ke negara Australia.
You want to go to Australia, yeah?
Yes.
Together with one other survivor from their boat who's made it into PNG, they recount the night they were chased by 2 Indonesian police boats.
Bot sudah tenggelam di situ. So akhirnya mau kasih keluar air juga tidak bisa. Sudah semua kami cari jalan masing-masing.
They maintain that one of their friends, Benedictus Dimi, was murdered in the water by Indonesian police.
Berenang, keterlambatan berenang, akhirnya polisi don dia ada tikam, orang sudah bunuh dia di situ 1 orang. Dan sedangkan yang lain itu kami sudah lari sendiri-sendiri sampai sekarang.
Indonesia denies the claim and say Benedictus drowned and police retrieved his lifeless body, which has since been buried. It was in the middle of the night, and what 2 witnesses saw may be questionable, but based on what each of them heard, Benedictus was alive and screaming as he was pulled into the Indonesian boat.
Kami ada dengar bahwa ini saya mau berenang, ini kasih tinggal sudah, itu dia teriak di situ.
They also maintain that 17 students have been murdered in Jayapura over the past month.
Yang sudah tembak, dipotong, ditikam, entah ini. Jika kami kembali ke Papua, itu tidak ada harapan. Mereka tangkap langsung ditembak.
Each of them are determined to stick to their original plan to head for Australia.
Negara yang terkuat di bagian Pasifik. Maka itu kami terarah pada kita punya kekayaan sebelah. Biar rambut keriting, biar kulitnya beda, biar badannya beda, tetapi dia sudah berdiri dan dia sudah terbentuk besar, maka itu terarah pada kesana orang-orang yang bisa begitu.
You may spend 1 year, 2 year in a desert prison or on Nauru. Are you willing to do this?
Itu yang kalau masuk di penjara itu saya bingung ini. Kami ke sana itu kami berbicara tentang cari itu perlindungan.
Many refugees, many people that come to Australia, they end up in prison for 1 year, 2 years.
Banyak, ini bukan domain aku pun, tapi ini kamu harus jawab sebelumnya jangan keluar. Begitu.
Did you know this?
Apa kau tahu hal ini? Kamu tahu atau tidak?
Tidak tahu.
Yeah. Well, if you, how will you feel? Are you ready for this? Are you?
Kamu siap? Biarpun di penjara kamu siap?
Siap. Itu mati dan hidup sudah. Di sana juga dunia mati, di sini lagi dunia masih siap.
Siap kalau.
Undeterred, they move on, boarding the same kind of boat they nearly drowned in for the next leg of their journey around PNG.
All right. Well, selamat jalan, and good luck.
Goodbye.
They can't stay here, they can't go back. What lies ahead in getting to Australia doesn't seem like a great option, but it's the best one they've got.